So one of my students asked me, why is Keventer's milkshake so expensive? And I decided to go out to find why is it so expensive. And yes, today, as of January 11th, 2018, I had my first bottle of Keventer's milkshake, and it is definitely not worth that price. But I'm not here to do a review video about the product. I'm here to answer that question about why Keventer's milkshake is so expensive. So to understand this, we need to figure out what is cost versus what is cost of goods sold. So let's look at the slide that you see here. So cost refers to whatever incurs within the factory. Cost of goods sold is what happens beyond the factory. So consider this example that you see here, where people say that, do you know that Pepsi and Coca-Cola is only a few paisa to make, but they end up charging you 10-15 rupees for a bottle? Oh, how dare they, you sick capitalists. But we don't really understand that what is cost of goods sold. It is because of cost of goods sold, everything else becomes expensive. To make anything within the factory, the cost is actually quite less. But when it has to go beyond the walls of the factory, that's when the shit hits the fan. And that's where the cost of the product increases, and that's why we need to pay that premium for that product. So let's understand what is cost of goods sold. So consider that Pepsi example itself. To make it within the factory, yes, it costs only a few paisa, but beyond that factory, you need to have a truck driver, trucks of course, and you need to pay for the fuel for these trucks, you need to pay for the insurance of these trucks, and once upon a time you needed to pay interstate taxes. And I say that because most of these products that we use is not made within the locality where we live. It's usually made pretty far off. So for all this, we as the consumer need to pay for that, and that is where the cost of goods sold concept comes in. Now, cost of goods sold is a very important concept you need to understand to see why Keventer's milkshake is so expensive. So let's get to see why it is expensive. So I went about asking the store guys a few questions about, what is the ingredients they use to go about making this. So I was able to divide this into two parts. That would be the cost and the cost of goods sold. The cost is where I was able to get the employees' information about what is the ingredients that goes about making these products. So you have the basic ingredients, that is of course milk. What else do you expect a milkshake company to make? And they use heritage brand of milk. Damn they, Nandini use madakagalla nan makkaldra Karnataka nalidbittu, and artificial flavors. So it's entirely artificial flavors. They use a brand of artificial flavors which is quite famous, which is called as Monin. And crushed ice. I had cold coffee, sugarless one, in Keventer's today, and it was very evident that it had a tremendous amount of crushed ice into it. How do I know that? Because it gave me a brain freeze. Aside from that, some cooling equipment to ensure that the milk doesn't get spoiled, blenders for obvious reasons, and of course that little piece of land that they have. Keventer's is about the size of my room. This is my room, and it's about 10 feet by 10 feet. That's about 100 square feet. Now, coming to what is the actual expenses for this brand. So some of the major expenses they incur would be the 3 employees that they have in a 10 feet by 10 feet stall. To give you a sense of perspective again, I usually drink fruit juice in Ganesh Fruit Juice, which has got quite a few outlets in Bangalore. I don't know if they're related, but there are quite a few Ganesh Fruit Juice centers. In those places, there are a maximum of maybe 2 employees in those stores. One guy who calls out the orders, the other guy who simply makes it. So they have 3 employees. So more amount of manual labor definitely means that more will be the cost of the product, the final product. That is, consider an example of watches. If you are looking for a custom-made watch, because of the amount of manual labor that goes into it, that custom-made watch, textile, you name it, is going to be expensive. Training employees. When I spoke to these employees, they had a certain degree of communication skills which was actually pretty good. They were telling me to fill up a feedback form. They were very polite and very courteous. I really need to appreciate the degree of training that they may have gone through in order to achieve that good quality communication skills. This is not like the other stores where I've seen, they have that bit of accent. They don't really have that confidence when they communicate. Here, you could very well see that these guys have gone through some pretty good quality training. Aside from that, the insurance, of course, that place needs to have insurance. Commercial properties need to go about having insurance. So that is another expense that they need to incur. BBMP license. Yes, all these commercial establishments need to have BBMP license. But BBMP, the insurance part is not that much. The other ones which I found really that is the other ones which I found really that is expensive would be the, okay, let me move my chair back and this microphone forward. Yeah, the other expenses which I found interesting would be the LED screens that this bugger has. He's got 3 LED screens and all of them keep playing some sort of milkshake porn, and I'll show you that in a clip. I think I should insert it probably about now. Okay, so they keep showing some sort of milkshake porn, at least on this continuously. The bottle design is also something very unique which I found. I haven't seen this sort of bottle design except in Tom and Jerry shows, wherein the milkman comes to the doorstep and he leaves that that unusually designed milk bottle. And aside from that, the store design, there is a lot of interior work they've brought into that store. The quality of logo that they've put is not something that comes cheap. The tiling work, the kind of lights that they've gone about using in that store is going to be in fact an added cost. Aside from that, the in-house advertising. The in-house advertising would be the general, the brochures that they've gone about doing. The menu card is displayed on this easel, a good quality easel by the way, in the entrance of the store, and the brand is displayed in big bold letters. All these things are the reason why regular milkshake, I mean, go to a Nandini store, you will hardly see this sort of advertising. He's got a simple refrigerator where the flavored milk is being kept there. Keventer's is expensive because of everything else you see on the other side. It's not because of the, they use natural flavors. They definitely don't use natural flavors here. They all use artificial flavors. And with all this being put, that's why the cost of milkshake is like 200 rupees. The same I could say for other products that you may have seen in the market today. Like consider pizzas. You know very well how inexpensive it is to make a pizza because they use a standard set of ingredients which is very inexpensive. They use cheese, they use maida to make most of their products. But we pay mostly for the other column that you see there, that is the cost of goods sold. So that should be able to answer why Keventer's is so expensive. So I hope you found this video helpful. Do like, share, subscribe, etc. Thank you. Tata. Bye bye.